Now, turning to the battle for Mosul. The first American was killed yesterday as allies advanced on ISIS's stronghold. The U.S. service member who was embedded with Kurdish Peshmerga forces in Iraq succumbed to wounds after his vehicle ran over a roadside bomb. The name and military branch have yet to be released. Joining us right now is former Florida Congressman and Executive Director of the National Center for Policy Analysis, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West. Colonel, thank you very much for joining us. Very sad story this morning as we mourn one of our servicemen. How long will this battle be, do you think, for Mosul?
Well, it's good to be with you, Maria, and condolences go out to that serviceman who lost his life unnecessarily, because I remember in 2003 being in Mosul, and we do not have to have ourselves in this position if we had a visionary and strategic-minded commander-in-chief. But we don't know how long this may go. This is not going to be a quick operation. Right now, you're already getting reports that there is a split because Iran controls the government of Iraq, and we know that we have Turkey that is in there operating, as well as the Kurdish Peshmerga. And it's very interesting because the Turks are working with the Iraqi Kurds, along with the governor of Nineveh, who is a Sunni and who has allowed them to come in against the wishes of the Iranian-backed government. But then you also have the Turks that are fighting against the Syrian Kurds in an area very close to Mosul. So all of these competing interests means that you don't have a sincere command and control. You don't have entities that are fighting toward one common objective. They're fighting for their own interests, and no telling how long this could take. Plus, you have allowed someone to make the defensive fortifications, as you see with these booby traps, improvised explosive devices. This is going to be a very slow-go operation, and they're nowhere near getting toward the center of Mosul.
What are the implications of having enemies fight together? What happens after? You know, you've got the Turks and the Kurds fighting together now, and we know that they are enemies and fighting against each other.
Well, that's the whole point. When you have an absence of leadership, when you have the vacuum that has been created there in Iraq, you have people that are in there fighting for their own competing interests and not an overall interest. I think what you have seen in the past 7.5, almost 8 years in the Middle East now has been a complete destruction of the Sykes-Picot Treaty from post-World War I. Now, we had the opportunity to go in and reshape the Middle East and to be an impact player and be an influencer, but now what you see happening is Russia is there strongly. As a matter of fact, a Russian warship is transiting through the English Channel. China is in there, Iran is in there, and we've been kind of pushed to the side. And it's sad that we had to have that young man lose his life in a very chaotic situation.
If we want to take charge again, Colonel, it's Dagen McDowell, and want to reverse what's been done in the last almost 8 years, can the next president do that quickly?
It's going to be very hard to do that because, first of all, you have to reestablish your trust and confidence of your quote-unquote allies, such as the Kurds, such as the Jordanians, the Egyptians, and Israel. You see right now the power player is Russia. And it was very interesting in the last debate when Hillary Clinton talked about putting a no-fly zone in Syria. That is probably the most confused airspace that you could have. You have Russian aircraft, you have Syrian aircraft, you have Turkish aircraft, and the Israelis will go in and attack the terrorist groups that are operating in Syria, such as Hezbollah and the Quds Force as well.
I know it's so complicated. I know you say reshape, reshape the Middle East. It's not really that easy. We've been wrong before in predicting who's going to go what way. It really is, maybe too complicated to do something quickly. But I'm, the token libertarian everywhere I go. So I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion.
Well, I think that what we could have done, the strongest partners we could have had there were the Kurdish forces. We have really turned our back on them several times. I remember after Desert Shield, Desert Storm, we have now seen ourselves do it again. And so the Kurds, which is the largest ethnic minority in the world without a homeland, they're looking to see who they can throw their hat in with. And I don't think we want to see them do that with Turkey, and definitely we don't want to see them do that with Russia and Syria.
Let me ask you, the Justice Department expected to charge former NSA contractor Harold Thomas Martin III, who they arrested back in August. They're charging him with espionage charges after his theft of an enormous volume of top-secret government records. What do you make of this?
Well, you know, it's interesting, Maria. There's two different standards, obviously, if your last name is Clinton and if you're everyone else. We see what is happening with General Cartwright right now for being charged with, quote unquote, mishandling classified information.
That's incredible.
We see what happened. Yeah, well, I mean, this is the world that we live in. There is a group of people that the law doesn't apply to, and then there's everyone else. If you have done something like this, as you see with this civilian or with General Cartwright, you're going to lose your security clearance. You're going to get charged. But obviously, if you're a part of the political establishment and the elite class of the United States of America, you get a mulligan.
You know, Wednesday night, the final debate, Hillary Clinton said a very revealing fact regarding U.S. nuclear reaction times. There was a lot of talk about it on Twitter. Yesterday, we had on Dr. Sebastian Gorka from the Institute of World Politics to give us some perspective on the remark. Take a quick look at what Clinton said and Gorka's response, sir.
When the president gives the order, it must be followed. There's about 4 minutes between the order being given and the people responsible for launching nuclear weapons to do so. And that's why 10 people who have had that awesome responsibility have come out and in an unprecedented way said they would not trust Donald Trump with the nuclear codes.
If anybody is unstable and unfit to be the commander-in-chief, it is anybody who gives away any time about our nuclear reaction response framework. That is unconscionable.
Wow. What do you think, Colonel? Do you agree with Dr. Gorka?
I absolutely agree with Dr. Gorka. You should not be talking about our nuclear response times, but then you should also not have a private email server and you're conducting classified business on it as well.
Yeah. Colonel, good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Maria.
We'll see you soon. Alan West joining us there. Coming up next, President Obama, the latest person to fall prey to WikiLeaks.